the confidence is very important. Like you need to believe that you can do it before you actually go out there and compete at the best that you can. So knowing that you've got the backing and you've got the confidence behind you, that's important for yourself to be confident.
Welcome to Ballers Brew, the world's hottest sports podcast. I'm your host, Michael Bromfield, and I'm thrilled to have you join us for another exciting episode. At Ballers Brew, we dive deep into the latest topics and trends in the sporting industry, offering diverse perspectives and thought-provoking discussions. Whether you're a passionate fan, a professional athlete, or simply a sports enthusiast, this is the place to be. Join me as we explore everything from game-changing strategies to behind-the-scenes stories, all aimed at elevating your understanding of the world of sports. This is Ballers Brew. Some athletes grow into their greatness. Others arrive, defy the odds, and force the world to rethink what's possible. Breyton Poole has spent his life doing just that. Standing 1.72 meters tall, I do hope that is correct, in a sport that favors height, he didn't just show up, he soared. From the school fields of Somerset West to World U18 gold, from being overlooked to owning his lane, Breyton's journey is one of quiet rebellion and radical belief. But his story isn't just about high jump, it's about heart. It's about what happens when you choose to stay the course when others count you out. It's about the pressure of promise, the hunger for more, and the call to represent something bigger than yourself. He's felt the weight of expectation, the silence between podiums, and the grind of a dream that doesn't always pay out in gold. And yet, he's still here, rising, reaching. In this episode, we talk about where it all began, what it means to lead with legacy, and how to keep showing up when the bar keeps rising, literally and figuratively. This isn't just a story about flight, it's a story of fight. I'm honored to welcome Breyton Poole to Ballers Brew.
Amazing to be here. Amazing to be here. Thanks for having me here. It's been a long time coming since we were supposed to meet, and I'm just happy to be here. Like what a introduction to my to my career. It's amazing. Good to be here.
I am super stoked to have you on, bro.
Lekker,
For
lekker.
those that are listening, we gym together at the same gym under the same trainer. I'm on the vet, and every now and then we have the opportunity to catch up. And I thought, who better
Yes, sir.
than to have on the man himself? But let's start here, right? For those who are listening and who may not be familiar with the journey, who is Breyton Poole beyond the gold medals and the high jump bar? If someone had to understand the spirit of where you come from, what would you tell them about home?
So I would say, for those that don't know me, I'm Breyton Poole, by the way. I come from a small town in Somerset West. I had the opportunity to go to Portugal and experience a bigger world. It was definitely out of my comfort zone, something I'm not really used to. But if I can talk about myself a bit, I'd say I'm a happy-go-lucky, friendly guy. Always keen to meet new people. Ambitious. I've always got something up my sleeve. Always looking to take on a challenge. Never scared, never backing down from a challenge. But if I talk about myself in like retrospect, I'd say that I just like to 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 be out there and I'm rambling a bit, but I'd say just to work hard and to fulfill my goals that I've got for myself and for my future.
That's exciting. You are grounded in the present, but you know where you're going into the future. And we're going to tap into that as we go through the questions, right? So forgive me if I'm wrong, but this is what the research shows me, okay? You started out as a gymnast and rugby player, but somewhere along the way, high jump became your calling. What pulled you in, and what do you remember most about those early days of falling in love with the sport?
Yeah, yeah, that's a funny story. So yeah, as you mentioned, I was a gymnast, and that's where the thrill of jumping on high bars and just being flexible and explosive. That's where the high jumping came from. Um, as you mentioned, I was a rugby player as well. I played from province rugby under 16. So I could have gone either way. I could have been a rugby player or a high jumper, but at the age of 16, I made the decision to stick with high jumping. And it wasn't an easy one. I spoke to various coaches, spoke to my parents, and I felt like high jumping was just it was a calling. It was set on my path. Um, being a high jumper that was not tall, and beating guys that were taller than me, I think that was like a calling to myself. And it was just something I actually prayed about. I was like, listen, let's just go back and like self-reflect on it and think on the way forward. Um, and for rugby especially, there were so many injuries, so many cons, pros and cons to playing rugby. As well as with athletics, injury can come in any sport. But just weighing up the pros and the cons, I think high jumping was just a calling for myself, and that's the one I chose. I'll never look back on it.
That's awesome to hear. It's
Yeah.
it's almost like a crossroads though. You're in the moment and you're having to decide. There's opportunity at each door, I guess. I mean, you're in
Mm.
that
Both
position, and
sides.
it's figuring out where you believe you can make the most out of it.
Yeah, the most out of it, and just where you can be impactful on your end, where can you give back on your side. As much as I like to do high jumping for myself. Um, I've done my level 2 coaching as well. So I'm a certified South African high jump coach, I'm a level 2 coach. So I think for myself, it's nice to be a high jumper, but it's also nice to give back and to be an inspiration to other shorter high jumpers,
Yeah.
who are just like me, who think that they will not be able to jump. I've gotten so many DMs and so many messages on my social media saying how short I am, how amazing it is to see me jump in person. So I just think just that whole aspect and weighing up the cons and weighing up the amount of impact and value I can bring to the sport.
Mm.
That's important to note. And so I think that's where all the high jumping came from.
So you've mentioned it now twice, and it actually goes into my next question, right? And I read it somewhere in one of the articles. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I understood, you've been told in the past that you're too small, which would have
Mm.
made that decision a lot harder, right? But yet
Yeah,
you went on to win the World Under 18 title.
yeah,
What
yep,
what do you think kept you believing when others apparently didn't?
yeah. So this started back in grade 7, grade 8. My coach at the time, he kept telling me, choose a different sport. You're not gonna go far. You're short. Um, and I remember his name. I'm not gonna mention his name because I don't wanna bring him into the conversation. But we had a sit down and he told me like, listen, you short. You're probably not gonna go further than what you are now, like provincial level. You're not gonna make an SA team. Um, you're probably done growing by 15, 16. So make the wise decision, choose another sport. And as much as in some way I was thinking, okay, maybe he can be right, but I always knew I had a bigger purpose. I was medaling at nationals each year, so the signs were there. The signs were there, but I was definitely doubted by a number of coaches who came to me to tell me, listen, you probably done growing by now. Pick a different sport, be happy in that sport. But yeah, I think the just the I don't want to say my haters or my motivators, but listening to the conversation back then and looking back at it now, it definitely motivated me to be where I am right now, um, and to continue the dream of becoming a high jumper. It was an important point of criticism at that time. Hearing that conversation, him telling me, no, I'm not going to go any further. You need someone to tell you that I'm not going to be able to do it, and then you having to prove them right in the end. So that's a big self-reflection story, and just looking back at that, it's important for myself.
It sounds like or the way it comes across is that it was an extra bit of fire or fuel to the
Yeah,
flame, if I may, that
fuel in the flame.
motivated you to want to jump a little bit higher, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
If you, I want to look at the bigger picture. Okay, so World Under 18s, that was, if I'm not mistaken, matric year for you, grade 11,
11. Yeah,
grade 11.
was 11 now.
And if we look after that early success, so now we've gone through the phase of, okay, there's a lot of doubts. I've now chosen the sport that I want to go into,
Yeah.
and I really believe there's a lot of space for me to grow. And with that, there came a longer stretch without the same spotlight. So in the sense
Mm.
that post World Under 18 gold, it was again having to find yourself now going into the senior, if I'm not mistaken, it's the under 21 World
Under,
Athletics.
under 20.
Yeah, under
Yeah.
20. What did those in between years teach you about patience, pressure, and persistence?
Mm. That's an important question because, like myself, I was competing with the senior guys at the age of 17. I was medaling at nationals at 17, 18. Uh, Under 18, oh, when I was 18, I went to Commonwealth Games. I was one of the youngest in the team. So the pressure was there, but I had nothing to lose at that time. I even gained my first Adidas sponsor at 18. So there was a lot of pressure. I definitely put myself under pressure of having to compete with this expectation. And that was quite an important factor, like the expectation of, oh, he's young, but he has a lot to learn. And the expectation is massive at that time. You going from a junior level to senior level, and everyone's watching to see like, is he gonna make it to the next level? Is he gonna struggle to bridge the gap between junior and senior level? And at that time, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna put myself under too much pressure. I'm just gonna try to enjoy being this junior, being this young guy still learning. And I definitely got along with a lot of the senior guys because I've been jumping with them for so long. And I've learned so much from the senior guys, which is very important, is to just take in from guys who have been places, guys who have been to world championships, and just listen to what they've got to say. And I think that's important. But the expectation that came with performance is definitely something that you need to work on mentally before you can work on it physically and put the hard work on the track. Definitely need to work on your mental game and how to make that stronger. Yeah.
It's interesting, and a lot of the athletes, right, that I've spoken to in different codes, one of the key factors that I've always taken away is that your ability to surround yourself with the right community, like you said, learning from the other athletes around you or from your family or just a community of support to help you through those moments. But then again, lining up for your first attempt, your first jump, it's all you, and it's being able to, as you say, rise to the occasion, mentally lock in and be like, okay,
Yeah.
this is it.
Yeah. And you and I both know you have Armand in the gym. You've got your doctors, you've got your coach in the pool. But when you in the pool on your own, it's just you against yourself, you against the rest of the competition. So at the end of the day, only you can decide
Mm.
what's going to happen now. So definitely the mental game and surrounding yourself with people that want the same thing as you and want you to do well. That's very important, and that's the difference between being successful and just being uh, at the same level. So definitely surround yourself with the right people and what you want for yourself in the sport.
So now the exciting part, okay, so we've mentioned the under 18 gold world champ success. We've gone through the phase of learning, and now 2025, winning your first senior national title. Just this year must have just hit different, right?
Yes, sir.
What made that moment so personal, and how did
Yeah.
it feel to finally break through at that level?
Yeah, it was such a crazy surreal moment at that point. For those that don't know and who were listening, I had a career-threatening injury last year. I tore both ligaments in my ankle, ATFL surgery, 3 months later. And after a grueling 3 months of rehab for Armand, as Michael said, Armand's not easy. His gym is not easy, and you'll walk away with some pain. But the work he put in the gym with Armand, and from being injured and seeing him almost twice a day, 4 times a week, just the moment of the pain and the suffering in the rehab and the reward that came with that, I think that was very important. You had to be there and just experience the amount of pain I was going through from not being able to walk 6 months before that in the mini nationals back in April. It was such a surreal moment, like I said, and nothing compares to it. It was my first gold medal title in South Africa, and such a big moment for myself, my family, and my coach.
And for what I can imagine, a true stepping stone for the future. Really projecting yourself into,
Yep.
you know, that
So
next.
also with that, I just stepped into like I went beast mode. Like I knew, okay, I'm at this level. I've got the gold here. It gave me some good competitions abroad as well, knowing that I was the national champ. I can use that. Um, and just the title to say that you're the best in the country. No one can take it away from you. Like you the best in 2025. This is your title. Enjoy it. So I think winning the national title out was just gave me so much confidence going into the season later in the season. Um, and for those that are listening, I went to Europe 2 months later, and I had a very consistent competition, winning some good competitions, the ones that I've got in for because of nationals. So yeah, that's important to know.
Whoa, whoa. Hey, Ballers Nation. Quick break in the action. Thanks for tuning into Ballers Brew. If you dig our fresh take on sports, please rate, review, or share the podcast. It only takes a moment, but it makes a huge difference. Thanks for the support. So then, that perfectly ties into my next question, right? Looking at your journey abroad. So again, I'm wanting to scale out as we look at the full journey here, and we've
Mm.
gone from South Africa and now to Europe, and we're looking at that global presence. What does stepping onto the world stage represent for you as an athlete, but more importantly as a young South African?
Yeah, so based on that question, like in South Africa, the opportunity to go abroad is rare. Like you need to be in a certain place on the rankings. You need to have a certain seasons base to even make competitions in Europe. Um, because in Europe, any low level competition or any high level competition, they all pay. So for you to get into competitions, it's quite difficult. You need to be part of that 2% of South African athletes who are able to get the chance to go. Unfortunately, with my club, at this academy, I had the opportunity to go abroad. So shout out to them. They really put out the platform for me to go and compete abroad. By tying into international on the international stage, I was lined up against previous Olympians, previous world champs, athletes who are on a level where they have been competing international. And just to say, I've competed against two Olympians, and I actually beat them at one of the competitions. Guys who are fully kitted out, fully contracted, full-time athletes. You don't get that every day that you get to compete against guys who are amazing at what they do, who do this for a living. And just to see them in preparation, how they warm up for the competition, how they prepare themselves mentally. That was cool to see, and I think I learned from that experience definitely. But like you mentioned, for myself as a South African athlete, it's not easy to go abroad. You and I both know going to competition internationally, the opportunity is rare, and when it does come, you need to grab it with both hands.
That's 100% true.
Yeah.
And I think it might be important and it's quite significant. We're talking about the rarity of opportunity and knowing how to make the most of it. But perhaps being a newbie or a youngster in the sport, you look at this mountain that you have to climb and you're like, oh my soul,
What's
how
happening now? How are we
exactly
gonna do
what's
this?
happening now? Where do I start? And but it's so admirable because perhaps someone looking up to you would be like, this could be a path that I could follow. So, looking that you've become this, I want to say, a role model for athletes who may not fit the mold. What kind of examples do you hope your stories set for the next Brayton coming up?
Yeah. So I would consider myself a role model in the sense of um, there are guys who are just as short as I am, who have the same goals of competing internationally. But just knowing that it doesn't come without struggle. You need to first fail over 100 times to know that okay, this is the right way. So I would say definitely trial and error. When it comes to coaches, when it comes to the gym programs, it's not gonna happen overnight. Um, the hard work that comes with it, it's gonna hurt, but in the end, it's gonna be so rewarding. But like I said in my previous question, you need to surround yourself with the right people and have the right environment to uplift yourself first as a human and then as an athlete secondly. So that was very important, being around the right people at the right school, um, going to Marty's, meeting my coach there, being in Stellenbosch, meeting Armand, um, being at the right time at the right place,
Yeah.
meeting the right people. Um, Funny enough, I only met Armand a year ago, and since then, I think my sport has just innovated. And so yeah, shout out to Elite Sport Performance. Yeah, it's definitely put us on a new level as an athlete, and just that mental aspect of making you stronger. Yeah, it's mental toughness. That's I can say.
It sounds exciting because speaking to you now and the few times I spoke to you in the gym during rehab, it sounds like you've got this fire in you. You're reignited. You've always been passionate
Mm.
about jumping, but I can hear there's this extra little bit of you're just like you're
Extra
edging to go out and
power.
compete, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I can honestly say, after COVID, I kind of lost my passion for the sport in the sense of like it was difficult. You weren't competing for months, going on to a year. And then fast track now back to 2024. We back on track properly. I was kind of injury free. I was in the gym with our man. Um, I think he definitely inspired me to be where he saw potential in myself that I didn't see myself. And I think he definitely just put on a switch like, listen, we're gonna make you strong and you're gonna jump high. And he put that confidence in myself. The confidence is very important. Like you need to believe that you can do it before you actually go out there and compete at the best that you can. So knowing that you've got the backing and you've got the confidence behind you, that's important for yourself to be confident. So yeah, I can honestly say having the right people behind me um, gave me like a blanket of assurance, knowing that I've got people behind me backing me. Um, yeah, I've got that flame back, and it's been amazing to just compete internationally. One of my dreams coming through just competing in these high level competitions and being able to win a few of them is just unreal and not expected. But we were there and I enjoyed every moment of it.
That's truly exciting. I now want to maybe to switch gears here, right? Okay, so I don't know how it's gonna work because I'm still figuring it out. It's a new thing on the
Yeah,
podcast that I'm trying with guests. Okay,
let's
I'm
do
calling
it.
it the Brew Break.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, so there's 4 questions, right? Rapid fire questions, ba bam bam, and it's just a short and simple answer. Okay, so
One word answers. Straight.
yeah, if you
Okay, let's
can,
do
one
it.
word answer. If you can't, we like one
Let's
sentence.
do
Okay, so the first one: go to pre-jump meal or ritual.
it. Pasta. 3 meal pasta.
Dream stadium to compete in.
Ooh, Birmingham, London Olympic Stadium.
Ooh, good one. One jumper you'd love to meet or train with.
Ooh, good question. I'd say Muttaz Bashir is the number one at the moment for the last 10 years. Bashir from Qatar.
Okay. And finally, if you weren't a high jumper, you'd be a.
A chef. I'd be a chef. I make
What?
some, I make some, I make some really good supper time meals. So I'd love to join Gordon Ramsay on some chef, either a chef or a tennis player, one of the two. But
Okay.
I'll definitely like to have my own cooking, my restaurant or something in the near future, like a sports bar or something like that. But
I'm gonna
that's
take you up on that. I'll be first in the queue. I'll be like, my boy, we'll get a dish.
in 20 years time, I'll give you an invite to my restaurant.
100%, we'll be there. Okay. So now, again, I want to shift gears. I want to, as we were starting to wrap down, I'm watching the time here. I
Yeah.
want to, if we may, be a bit more reflective. I want to think back to the past, right? And just see, again, this is now going into the future, the ripple effect.
Mm.
So at the start, we spoke about the mold, and you said before, I proved them wrong. Looking back now, who helped you prove yourself right?
Ooh, that's interesting. Self-reflecting now, I'd say there was a couple of people that molded me. I can't pinpoint one person or I can't single out one person. Each experience over the years, being in a multi system, experiencing that, the ups and the downs. You know how multis can can go. So just experiencing the ups and the downs, going through the multis, the HP system, meeting people there who are not there anymore. That definitely molded me. I can say my coach at the time, Maurice, uh, he's he's actually a pastor, but the insight that he has given me over the years and just I can definitely credit him in some point of the mental aspect that he's just instilled that potential, like just like relighting that flame and telling me how much I've got to go and how good I can be. I think that was definitely important to hear. Um, I can say my cousin Jaden Flagg, he's definitely been a pillar and always someone I can speak to about on track, off track problems. He's always wanted the best for me and always make sure that I'm trying to do the best I can do. So yeah, I really can't single out anyone. I think every experience leading up from when I started meeting Armand, getting back with my old coach, that was important. And change is good sometimes. And I experienced some downs, and at some point you're gonna reach a next level where you need to up your game. You need to look at new ways of how to get better. New protein shakes, new pre-game meals. Um, the game's never gonna stop. You have to look at new ways where you can up your game, up your sleep, up your discipline, and that's really important. Like you can't single out one person. You need to like really credit everyone that's been on your journey and then being successful in the end is just the cherry on top.
What I'm taking away, and maybe my perception of it is, we go through different phases in life, and
Hmm.
there's as you say, there's peaks and troughs, and there's moments of ups and downs, and
Yeah.
there's always something that you can learn. There's always someone and people that
Hmm.
at that time are so critical to your development as number one, a human being, but number two,
Hmm.
who assist you in that journey as an athlete, which
Yeah,
ultimately led to where you are today.
definitely. Because for me, like myself, being a good person, meeting the right people, that's number one. Like you need to start with like what's your who are you as a person? How do you treat others? Let's start there. Then is your next point is as an athlete, how can you elevate your game? How can you become the best person mentally on the track, mentally and physically on the track? And that all ties in with meeting the right people.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think meeting people on my journey it was important and to my development as a my character development firstly, and then just myself as an athlete. Yeah.
So sitting here today, okay, 2025, if you could speak to 10-year-old Breaky, what
Yeah.
would you want him to know?
That's crazy. 10-year-old Brayden, I would say, um, remember where you've come from and remember there's still a long way to go. You are never done learning. There's always something new. There's always ways to be better. Um, yeah, don't stop. Be better every day. Um, every day is not going to be your day, but as long as you can strive on being 1% better every day, eventually you'll be there at the top, and you'll be enjoying every moment of it. And looking back at my journey thus far, I can say that I've enjoyed the struggles, and now it's time to enjoy some rewards and just go with that.
Mm. It's a continuous journey of growth, development.
Never stopping, never
Yeah.
stopping.
And refining yourself and recentering yourself, you know?
Mm.
That's
Yeah,
how
I
I
think,
feel at least.
yeah, like just like you said now, always refining yourself. I think back then I was not mentally matured yet. Um, Fast track a few years later, I'm able to handle some situations in a better way mentally, firstly. And just how you react to certain things. Last year when I was injured, I could have just gone home and sulk about it, but I got back up and I had to redefine myself what I want. What I want to see myself next year, and then just working towards that goal. Um, it's just a cherry on top, like I said.
Mm. So let's look beyond the stadiums, you know?
Mm-hmm.
The stadiums are empty, the bars packed away.
Mm-hmm.
What's your why? What keeps Breyton Poole
Mm-hmm.
chasing height season after season?
Season after season. What fuels my fire is just how can I give back when I'm done? What will be my legacy? How can I, as a person, um uplift others? Um, I think that's very important. I like, obviously, as yourself, you want to do well, you want to be seen in the limelight, but I don't want that limelight. I would like to have a platform where I can uplift others. And that ties into why I do what I do. Every season we work hard, but at the end of the day, like, what are we giving back? What type of trail are we leaving behind? Where are we gonna make someone else better? Where are we gonna give back where someone else can get that same opportunity? And I think I was thankful to get the opportunity to be where I am. We get diversity at parties. Others don't get to see that opportunity. So I think I'd love to have a platform where I can put others in the same spotlight, the others in the same limelight, and just get to experience a system where they can also get to international level and to get the same chance I had. And I think that's important. Just my why is just try seeing where I can be better, I can make someone else better in the future, in the near future.
Yeah, that's truly
Yeah.
special. What I'm hearing is, firstly, it's legacy, but through legacy, it's the empowerment of community enrichment and
Mm.
uplifting those around you, essentially, like you say.
Yeah. So it ties in with your potential. Um, Knowing that you've got potential, that can't go to waste. You need to see how you can maximize your potential out. And I think that's what I kind of undermine myself sometimes. I'm like, listen, I always think that I'm not worth the the title or worth um where I am, but remembering the work I've put in, that's very important. So just self-reflecting about the work you've done, and never overlook yourself. Always think that you belong in this place, and that's what I always keep on myself. Um, Remember who you are, and when you walk into a room, make as if you belong in the room. You've worked hard enough, and you are good enough to be where you are, and that's what I keep on myself when I line up against guys who are way better than me on paper. But like I said, on the day, it's anyone's ball game. So that's very important. Never downplay yourself. You're always worth where you are. I think we judge ourselves by our performance
Mm.
100% of the time. Athletes won. or they base their personality based off how well they do. So there'll be days where you just don't compete to the best of your ability, and then you're like, listen, not worth the title, not worth the place. And that's what you need to remember. You can't base high jumping or your performance in high jump on how you are as a person or your personality, because that's going to eat you up
Yeah.
at the end. And that's something I keep on myself.
That's a whole nother topic for discussion, and it's
Yeah,
based
that's
around
a
athletic identity. So
yeah.
we're
And
not
you
going to
and
go
I,
down that rabbit
yeah,
hole today. Um,
yeah. So a whole other topic for other
exactly.
day.
Yes, sir. But as we close, I'd just like to ask if there's any closing remarks or something that
Hmm.
you may want to share, or something that's on your heart that you just feel is
Hmm.
important to share with the listeners or the Ballers Brew community.
Um, if I can add one thing, I'd say first, shout out to you for having me on the show. Um, the show is growing year after year, month after month, and the work you put in. Shout out to you and just giving us the platform to essentially help other people. The impact you have is quite important. Um, I would just say, like I previously mentioned, I'd say never overlook yourself. We base ourselves on performance, and that should never be why you do something. Performance. That's important. That gets you the sponsors, the titles, but actually enjoying the sport will actually make you better as an athlete. If you are having fun, obviously you are locked in, you are focused, you're doing what you need to do. You have your 8 hours of sleep, your nutrition's up to par. Um, make sure that you're enjoying where you are right now. In the moment, in the present, enjoy what you're doing. Um, yeah, enjoy what you're doing right now for the future, because yeah, if you're not enjoying where you are, you're just gonna be miserable. So I think definitely enjoying the sport while you are still in the sport.
100%. Firstly,
Yeah.
Brayton, thank you so much for coming on. I truly appreciate it, and thank you for your time. It's been a back and forth communication to get you on, but it's been
Yeah.
amazing. Some closing thoughts from my side, and for those that are listening, a truly admirable journey and story from start to finish, with early ambition and pure talent, and being in a facility
Mm,
where I can work with you and seeing your drive and determination.
mm,
uh, Definitely one to watch in the future as we head into, we've got World Athletics and a bunch of events coming up into the new year. So for those that are listening, as
mhm.
Brayton put it, make sure that you are staying true to yourself, presence in the moment, and
Yeah.
don't allow
Good for yourself.
the day world to move past you too quickly. And
Mhm.
for those that are listening and have made it all the way to the end, as always, I truly appreciate your time. And I promise that there are many more engaging and insightful episodes to come. But for now, that is it. I'm your host, Michael Bromfield, and this is Ballers Brew signing out.
Yeah, yeah.